In this video, we will review the payroll process, starting with the payroll data from the payroll provider, all the way to creating an allocated journal entry batch in Financial Edge NXT. From the home page, click Process Payroll. From this screen, you will begin the process. If you have not yet set up the session in NXT Time that will contain the employee payroll details for the pay period being processed, you click Process New Payroll. This will prompt you to select the payroll group, pay date, and description for this payroll allocation session. Click Create and Next. Select the file from your payroll provider and also indicate if your import file contains a header row on the top. Select the file type of the file to be imported and click Load Payroll File. Let's click Cancel here for this overview. Notice the status for the session we just created shows that we're still pending a payroll file upload. We can upload now at any time that is convenient for our process. This process sets up the session with all payroll details from your payroll provider that you will be allocating to the general ledger in Financial Edge NXT. For this overview, let's process a session that we created earlier. In the Options column, we will select the Process and Finalize icon to begin. Each payroll session will contain a header at the top of the page above the payroll details grid. You can see in the header that we know the totals for gross pay, deductions, taxes, net pay, and then any assigned benefits for this payroll session. This information is useful in comparing the totals to be allocated to your payroll register. The lower portion of the screen displays each employee who is included in the current payroll allocation session. Each employee line shows summary amounts by gross pay, deductions, taxes, net pay, and benefits. Expanding on an employee line will reveal the detailed breakdown of the employee's pay, along with the rate, the allocation code assigned, and the source of the data. From this grid, if you discover that an incorrect allocation code was assigned to a pay item, you can correct that here. Each detailed line has a revert icon. This would restore the value of the row back to how it came over from the payroll provider. Each detailed line has an Update Employee Record icon as well. This will update the code on the record of the employee with the change allocation code, so that going forward, the code will be matched to the correct allocation code. Just as a note, you could also choose the Revert All Changes made on this screen for that employee. And if you want to revert all changes for all employees on this screen, you can click that Revert button on the top of the grid. One additional item to take note of on this screen is the Source column. NXT Time provides an option when adding benefits to an employee's record, if you would like to include that benefit in your payroll session for allocation purposes. If you enable that option on any particular benefit code for an employee, NXT Time will bring that transaction into the session so that the benefit can be allocated during the process. Once your review is complete, click Allocate Payroll to have NXT Time create each individual allocation line for the selected payroll session being worked on. The resulting screen will display the debit and credit detailed allocation for each payroll line item. You can make corrections to the general ledger components on this page. Notice if you change an item from the original entry, NXT Time keeps a record of the original value. You can view the record state prior to the change by expanding the original row. Notice that the values that were changed are highlighted in red for quick reference. For your reference, the top portion of the screen will display the total debits and the total credits. This ensures that your entire payroll has been allocated as a balanced entry. Now we're ready to consolidate our entries and create the journal entry batch in Financial Edge NXT. Let's click Post Payroll to make that happen. What you are now seeing is the final journal entry batch that will be created in Financial Edge NXT. The default posting methods for debits and credits are displayed at the top of the page. You can change these defaults in global settings if you need to. You can also change them on the fly from the page as well. Keep in mind, if you change them here, they are not permanently updated as the defaults. For this overview, we are going to select Summarize for both the debits and credits. When we refer to debits, these are going to be primarily your payroll expenses, whereas the credits will refer to the balance sheet items such as cash and liabilities. The total debits and credits displayed at the top of the page should remain consistent regardless of the posting method selected. As with the other screens, you can expand the summary rows to drill down to the individual source transactions that were included in the summary total of that row. After all our reviews are completed, we're ready to create the journal entry batch in Financial Edge NXT. Click Create Journal Entry. Provide a description and confirm the other batch settings that will be used in creating the batch in Financial Edge NXT. You can make these values default by updating them in Global Settings. Now, let's click Create Journal Entry. Once the batch has been created, you will be redirected to the screen where you can review all the details of the batch. From this screen, you can manage the journal entry batch. The Transactions hyperlink also gives you access to the transaction lines of the journal entry. This concludes our payroll processing overview of NXT Time. Thank you for watching.